Happy New Year. Woo! Pop that champagne cork. Thank God. Bye-bye, 2020. See you later. Oh, yeah. Bye. On today's show, we have, what, Greg? Randy Reid, Edison Report.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. He's moving, man. He's shaking. He's got a lot of things cooking down there in Tennessee, man. And Today in Lighting, he's got his daily show coming out. He's got, obviously, a revamped website. What a great time we had with Randy.
Always good. He always brings something new and exciting to talk to. Start the year off hot.
Boom, we're going to go to tcpi.com to start the year off. That's right, technical consumer products. Go to tcpi.com, Greg.
Now, they have a commercial recessed downlight, but not any commercial recessed downlight. A lot of people have those, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, cool, they've got it. They've got a 6-inch and they got an 8-inch. Awesome. I met a customer. Okay, now I go, okay, that's an 8-inch. Oh, shit, they have two 10-inch cans. Okay. So I can get the 8-inch from this customer, and then I got to go somewhere else to get the 10-inch. But the 10-inch from this guy has a beveled, and it's white, and this one is silver, and it's recessed. And it's like, okay, now the cans aren't going to look alike. Now what do I do? Now I got to figure it out. You don't have to think any longer. TCP has commercial recessed downlight in 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch. And they've also got it color selectable, where you don't have to worry about picking the Kelvin ahead of time. You can select it on the can, and 3 wattages, all on the same can. It's awesome. Finally, somebody's come through with the right product. They're not trying to be cute and saying, hey, we've got it, but only in 6 and 8. Every can is different. You need those other sizes so that you can fill it. TCP does it right.
Yeah, you can't do a commercial lobby properly if you don't have those options. You know what I'm talking about? Like those commercial building lobbies where you walk in and they, in the
I'm
foyer.
in them all the time.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from my experience from last week.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I sold a job, and now I got to figure out where to get them. I got them from TCP because they have all the sizes.
I just learned right now. Right now in the ad. I'm going to go to TCPI right now after. I have a client. They got 6-inch AR R11 70 watt metal halides. You know those R11 70 watt metal halides, medium flood or whatever. And then, but in the foyer, they got these big 12-inch halides with the, whatever, MP metal halides in like a can. It's like, well, those are not going to match. Now with TCPI.com, they're going to retrofit it. So go there.
Fix that foyer.
Oh, baby. I can't wait. I need to listen to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast too, man. I happen to produce it too. So go to tcpi.com, proud member of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. That was a long ad, but it was a good one. Here comes Randy. Welcome back, Randy Reid.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas to you. This one's coming out in the new year, but good to have you back on the show.
Over?
No, we're not starting over. No, we're going to keep it rolling. Greggy, what's going on, bud?
Hey, well, it's good to have Randy back. It's been a little while, and we wanted to talk to you because the New Year's coming up. A few things happened in the last year, and I've never really known you to have an opinion. You have an opinion, Randy. You had a little notepad reflecting on what this whole last year meant to you and how it changed. Let's dive into that a little bit. Why don't you give us an overview?
Well, it was a tough year for the industry, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. A tough year for me personally. I've been tested now a total of 8 times for COVID, negative all 8 times. I did lose my mom to COVID, and in her case, it was a blessing because she'd had a stroke and was really in bad shape. And when COVID came, it took her 3 days later. So I would say it's been an emotional year, personally. I have signed up for the Vanderbilt study, and so I have had my vaccine because it's either a vaccine or a placebo. But I'm pretty sure I got the vaccine because I had the symptoms. So I am happy to see 2020 go away, and 2021 is going to be a great year. Firmly believe that.
What makes you so optimistic?
Because of pent-up demand. I think we're going to get the vaccine out there in the first quarter. I think there's going to be herd immunity. I think that the hotel hospitality industry has been getting ready. And I do think things will really explode in certain areas in 2021. I think people are going to get on a plane the first chance they have. They're going to go on vacation. They're going to start going out to eat. And they're going to start being with people.
Yeah, I'm not as confident.
Why?
There's something to this that's a little bit strange. There's a lot of things that, to me, that have happened and continue to happen, like that make me go, what? Why is that happening? Like one of the things in Toronto and I don't want to go too far down this path, but like, for example, they're locking down the province of Ontario again for 30 days or basically 60 days, they kind of hinted at and stuff like that, for the same reason they did in March, because the ICU capacity is getting too high. And not one reporter in Toronto or Ontario or anywhere has asked the politicians, like, how come you don't have any more? How come we don't have a higher ICU capacity? Like, how could you possibly be using that excuse 10 months later or 9 months later as the reason? Like, that's really weird. And there's nobody in the press asked that question. Like, oh yeah, you have the same reason you had in March, or we're going to overflood our hospitals, but you don't have any more ICU capacity. Like that is, if that's the case, that is total incompetence, complete and total incompetence. And that's the reason they're using. And to me, like, that's just not a good reason. Like, that sounds like nonsense to me. So,
but my point is, if you're going to be locked down 30 days, maybe 60 days, and when that 60 days is lifted, we've got the vaccine, I think you talk about herd mentality, it's going to be like a herd buffalo heading out, because I think you guys will be really ready to go and do something and be with people. So again, that's what I mean by I think there's going to be a lot of pent up demand.
I think there is going to be a lot of pent up demand, but I think there's, like, I'm not optimistic or pessimistic. I'm just going day by day. And I don't see any reason for optimism. I just see incremental increases in authoritarianism. And it's been incremental and it's been ongoing. And while I agree with you on the lighting business and the pent up demand, and I agree that people are ready to rock, I'm not so sure that that's the long term plan. So I'm not pessimistic either. I'm just, I'd love to have your outcome, but I don't share your optimism.
As I said in my article, I do think there will be less business travel. I, for one, plan on doing less business travel in 2021 than I did in 2019. In 2019, I was on a plane every week, and you guys were too for the most part. And I don't see that coming back full strength. It'll come back. I look forward to business travel. I look forward to a few of the quality trade shows, but I will not be going to every single trade show. And I'm not going to go to every single meeting in person or every single education event.
If I can, I think, Greg, if we can, I think we're going to do it.
We'll go to every one.
Yeah, I want to see the zeitgeist. I'd love to get out there and see what's happening in Denver, just for no reason. Just like do a hot blast, get in there hot, stay a night, get out and see what the people are talking about. If anybody's allowed to, what their COVID reality is like. I'm so excited about that. I'd love to do that. So I think, but I don't know. I think you're right, though. I think your gut instinct is right on that.
And how are you going to pick and choose that, Randy? Because as we know right now, we're seeing that every show that is coming out is going to be smashed into a 6-week time period in August, September, right now. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Well, I got to tell you though, those are the good shows, right? Mm-hmm. I'll be headed to Leducation. I'll be headed to Light Fair. If NAILD has something, I'll be going to that because I really value what you guys do. I think I've been to some very good conferences there. IES, always important conference. So it is crammed in. We're going to be working very hard in the second half of the year, but those are the important shows. But some shows like LED Specifier Summit has gone away. I think there were Light Show West, I believe, has gone away. So those, obviously, we won't be to those shows. And I probably won't go to as many regional shows as I've done in the past.
Now that, to some degree, that's something we've talked about in the past, and maybe even with you, is there are too many trade shows, and I think to that point, that's maybe a benefit out of this is that now we're narrowing down to what actually we need. At one point there's just too many.
Right.
So we'll get there with that. So that's good. You also wrote online education as your first choice. No more in-person education, huh?
Yeah, I got to tell you, and you've probably done it too. There are some really good classes, and I am amazed at how much I have learned through online education. But I'm old school, and historically, I would say no. I'm not going to sit in front of a computer and learn something. If there is some education offered, I want to go in person. I want to meet the people. I want to see the products. I want to touch them and feel them. And yeah, that is a great way to do it. But without the cost of travel or the time of travel, it's pretty darn good online. Everyone's worked hard to make them high quality, to make them interesting and exciting. And I have learned a lot this year.
Is it something where, when I attend some of these online, I have it in the background off to the side, as I'm doing my other stuff. And when I'm in person, that's all I'm doing, and you have no other distractions. So that's what I find. Maybe an interactive online education is good, or short, quick clips. But if you're doing a long 1 hour presentation, you still got to do that in person, don't you?
Well, in my article, I mentioned about I do it on my own time. For the most part, I'm not attending the live ones. I'm attending the recorded ones. That's convenient for me. That fits with my ADHD. I have 3 computer monitors. You probably do the same thing. I switched 2 of them off. I turn my phones on silent, not even vibrate. And then I sit and I really focus on it. Because I have tried doing what you're doing in the background. It doesn't work for me. I was on a plane yesterday, and the guy in front of me was watching a movie on his laptop while he was playing a game on his phone at the same time. Now, my brain would explode if I tried to do that. So yeah, on my education, I tune everything out. I focus like a laser, and it works for me.
Very good.
You said that you talked about in your article, you talked about ADHD and you've brought it up now in the conversation. Have you actually been diagnosed with that? Is that legit?
I think it's legit, but no, I've not been diagnosed with it. I'm of a different generation than today's young people are. So today's young people have been diagnosed with it and they take the Adderall. I am sure that if I would have been born in the, late 1990s, I would have been diagnosed with it and probably been on medication for it. I think that what I have is no different than what the young people. We just didn't call it then. The teacher would pop you on the back of the head and say, "Pay attention," that sort of thing.
I'm sure Mike and I have it too, and we just are undiagnosed. But it's another point. So you talked about in-person meetings as well. And you had a man of the year. Dive into that a little.
Sure. Person of the year.
I'm gonna call this Randy's man crush. Tell us all about it, Randy.
Sam Corbell. Do you know him? Have you ever met him?
Yeah.
He did some education work in our Evolve program. He's been on the show.
Right. I saw him. I saw him on your show. Come to think of it, I'm so sorry I didn't remember that. You're probably the first place I saw him. And then I just started looking around, and then I saw an interview he did with Andrea Hartramp. And I got to tell you, I've never met him in person. We've done a few Zoom things back and forth, but what a bright guy. And we really have not been able to make sales calls during 2020, right? Nobody has been able to make sales calls for the most part. And so digital marketing is more and more important. And I do think he is the very best at digital marketing. And, you talk about an hour. Well, he doesn't do hour segments. He does short and quick, and he keeps them exciting and interesting. And I just think that, for us, it was a very bold departure, right? Normally, our people of the year are old guys my age and older, and they've been a CEO for so many years. They've been the head of Acuity or Signify, have run a company. And this was a bold departure for us, but I think he is a very bright young man, and I think that he represents the future.
Oh, that's good.
It was well received. We got a ton of comments from people, every one of them positive.
Yeah, sure.
That really supported and thought it was a great idea.
So, networking online. You know, I don't think that, Michael Colligan, Greg Eric, and Randy Reid would be where we are today without Adolf Wagner's beer house over in Germany.
In Frankfurt.
I mean, that was a special night. I don't know if you remember it as well. Maybe we don't remember it as well as we should.
Apple wine.
Yeah.
We had a lot that night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we ate a lot of food and we dined together and in a very interesting environment. And you took us there, and that was so wonderful, Randy. So, I don't know, man. I networking online, I don't know if it's the same thing though. I mean, Sam's an extraordinary guy. He did an Evolve module for us on lighting design for distributors. So broke it down, like just an overview of it. Wonderful work. He wanted to produce it himself. It was fantastic. Well done. But there's something to the other parts of it, the non-business parts, the eating, the fellowship, that just is not there when you do a Zoom call or when you're on a video call.
Okay, so I'll give you a different opinion. I'll give you a different opinion if I may, Michael. So think about it. You may be locked down for 30 or 60 days. And I am sorry to hear that. Now, I'm in Tennessee, and right now we're, I think, the #1 state for COVID per capita. So we sure are not doing it right, state of Tennessee. But we are not totally locked down, and we are able to get out, whether that's right or wrong. So
maybe you're just really good at testing people. Like maybe
the
like
three of us are
maybe Tennessee's, but hang on. Maybe Tennessee's just better at testing people than other states.
We do have a lot of testing. We do have a lot of testing. And it's very convenient, and we don't have a lot of the lines. Sure. So it could be, but that's a political thing. And you and I, we're not going to solve that. But back to the networking thing. What's wrong with the three of us, and maybe we get Sam or a few other people, and we have a glass of wine on Zoom one afternoon? A lot of the people are doing that. I've seen, and I've participated in a few of them, where people are drinking and having fun on Zoom. No business. They're business colleagues, no business, but they have fun. And I mean, we could do that. And if you're going to be locked up going crazy for 60 days, you're going to need something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to need a lot of booze. Fortunately.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I don't. I like smell. I think that fellowship is a sixth senses experience. And I mean, while that is something that I just, when I wear like that kind of thing, I don't agree with you. I think it's not a replacement. I think it's just another thing you can do that's convenient and easy, adds to the mix. But I don't think it replaces it, man. There's
so it doesn't replace it 100%.
Sure.
But what if it gets you there 80%?
Yeah, I agree with you that there's a room for
What
it.
if you get some of that friendship? Like right now we're doing a professional segment and you're wearing your headset and you're in your studio. So what if you at some point took that off? We had a glass of beer, in my case, a glass of wine, and we just reminisced about the good days. I think that would be healthy for all of us.
Sure.
And then the three of us do it, and then maybe we do. You bring in a person that you don't know as well, and you kind of get to know them. It's not as good as in person. Make no mistake, but it is still helpful, I think.
Yeah, you got to make do with what you can. So yeah, that covers your article, but now kind of on the business side of things, I read your website, and there's a lot of people do. And the first thing today I saw was price increase, big siren going off, 8%, Cooper, whatever it was.
Hey, we got a new siren. Did you see our new siren?
I did.
It
looked real nice.
1980s.
I loved the old siren. I loved that artifacty piece of junk. It was great.
I know, wasn't it? So we really, that's our Christmas, that's our New Year's gift, I guess, for 2021. But yeah, listen, that's my theme. Everyone talks about predictions and themes. My theme for 2021 can be summed up in 2 words: price increases. Okay, I think we're going to see them. I think they're going to stick. I think they're healthy for our industry. I think we need them. We desperately need them as an industry. And I think we're going to see them in 2021. And Cooper apparently is leading the way. Valmont did go up. Lutron went up. But when a company with the stature of Cooper Lighting goes up, I think that's important for industry. But look, guys, raw material, right? Look at the raw materials, how they're going up. Cost, and whether we like it or not, a lot of the products do come from Asia, or the components come from Asia. And the shipping costs have skyrocketed. There's something now on containers. If you want your container prioritized, just add $2,000. Add $2,000 and they'll prioritize your container. And if you don't, good luck.
Yeah, one of the we could mention the company on here, but one of the people that had an increase that I really liked how they did it was TCP, and they kind of broke it down and said, we've been carrying you for the last couple of years. We've been giving you the lowest price we can, and we just can't any longer. Yeah, we just can't do it any longer. So we have to have our increase. And I was like, that brings it personal a little. Like a lot of these other people, it's just 8% across the board. And I don't really, why? Dive into it. Give me your personal story. So I think that's important. If people are going to do price increases, break it down.
And I do remember TCP doing a press release a couple of years ago that they did not raise prices, and they did absorb it. So yeah, I get that.
I did a webinar with Ellis where I was a panelist, and it was on the U.S.-China trade relations.
I saw it.
Did you see it?
You did a 2-part thing, right? Or a 3-part thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So he brought me in as a panelist on to just comment on China, and I don't really know why. I'm not a historical expert. I'm more like a fan of Chinese history. So I know a little bit about it, and I follow the news, and I follow different Chinese officials on Twitter, and I have their tweets translated, so I can read what they're saying. What do you think about the relationship between China? Like for the lighting industry, it's a massive relationship. Like I other than consumer electronics, I don't think there's an industry that's more impacted by the relationship between the United States and China and lighting. How do you think that bodes for the prospects in the coming years, not just 2020, but in the coming years?
Well, again, we always try to not get political on the Edison report, but Trump has had a adversarial relationship with China. President-elect Biden has said he wants to have less adversarial relationship with China. But I give you one example. Today we posted a story: Christmas tree lights. Okay, buying less and less from China. This year in 2020, fewer Christmas tree lights came from China. So I do think that there will be less trade with China. There's going to be more Vietnam. There's going to be more Cambodia. There's going to be more India. India, they just don't have the infrastructure in India. They don't have the supply chain in India. They've sure got the labor, and I think they've got the quality. But I do see less coming from China in 2021 and 2022 than what we've had in the past.
Do you think that has a relationship to the price increase because of where it's coming from, or is it just because they can't get it any longer, or the price is going to be the same from China versus Vietnam?
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, think about this, guys. We used to buy everything and have everything done in Mexico, right? And then a lot of that moved over to Asia because the Asia was even less expensive than Mexico. And, Vietnam is a competitive area for light fixtures. We are seeing more fixtures come out of Vietnam. But I do think as a society, a lot of people are unhappy with China for many reasons and would prefer to not buy product from China. There's always kind of been an ebb and flow, in my opinion, about we really want things made in America. Well, we'll accept made in Mexico. We prefer made in America. We'll accept China. And now I do think there is just concern about, who knew that the antibiotics were made in China? I sure didn't know that. I think there will be less demand for products in China for many reasons, many of which are political.
I don't say political is not the right word. I'd say that they're cultural. Cultural.
How so?
So, for example, the Democrats and the Republicans are largely the one thing they get along on is China policy. I mean, you may see some differences in tone from Biden, but both Democrats and Republicans are very wary of China. And there's not a huge difference between, I mean, at the top, you maybe have some rhetoric and that sort of stuff that changes. But I think Democrats are just as suspicious of China as the Republicans are. So I don't think it's a political issue. And I think the idea of not wanting to buy from China is a cultural issue. So, what I as a Canadian look at it and I say, well, I really am in favor of that cultural policy. So where it's like, we choose as consumers choose and industries choose to generate more domestic manufacturing. I don't like a pro-US trade policy. So if that excludes everybody else, so as a Canadian, we value our relationship to the United States. It's very, very important to Canada. And, Canada could easily be bankrupted by a policy like that included Canada into that. So while I think it's a cultural force, it's an anti-Chinese sentiment that's emerging in the U.S. that I think can be dangerous in some senses. That's how bigger problems arise when an entire culture starts to see another culture as an enemy, and maybe a trade battle starts. They always start with trade wars. That's how all wars start, over money, except for maybe the what's those Greek wars when they went over to chase the woman. What's her name?
You're talking Helen of Troy?
Helen of Troy, the Trojan Wars. Other than the Trojan Wars, every war was about money. It was about trade. It was about, dominance and this sort of stuff. So I don't think that I think it's cultural. The lighting industry is very, very addicted to China. This industry is going to have the toughest time. There's so much infrastructure in China, from chemicals to production to raw materials to experience and everything else that's there, that's going to be difficult to transplant now that it's there. What about domestic manufacturing, Randy? Do you see the possibility of components and final assembly of LED light bulbs in the United States?
I don't know, is the honest answer. It just so much depends on the new administration and tax policy and tariffs. And I have no feel for what is going to happen there. We'd sure like to see it, though. Love to see it.
But see, why? Let me ask you, why would you love to see it?
Jobs. I'm an American. I'm retired Army Reserve. I love America. I want American jobs. My company, Lumefficient, I wish that I could produce locally. I would love nothing more than that. I couldn't be cost competitive. I couldn't begin to compete if I built them here in the U.S. But I wish I could.
And so, and the idea of, bringing the components in and assembling in the U.S., that becomes a little bit of a dicey situation, because what are they actually assembling? Are they screwing the reflector on? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So it's called the screwdriver test. If you can really assemble everything with just a screwdriver, it really should not qualify for made in America or made in North America.
But it does sometimes.
But I think some companies do that. We're not going to play that game. Okay?
Sure.
We're just not going to play that game. But I do know some companies, or I suspect some companies do that.
I've seen companies do it.
Me too.
I've been to their factory and I've seen them actually. Sure. And I'm like, oh, you just screw that on and now it's assembled? Okay.
Yeah.
So, another topic, mergers and acquisitions. How do you feel about that? Is that going to be hot and heavy in 2021, or slowing down, speeding up?
Yeah. No, I think hot and heavy. I think there'll be one announced January 4th, a small one, but we're working that story now. You
don't want to break it here?
I don't, because under confidentiality. But everything appears that'll break on January 4th. Yes, I do see more mergers and acquisitions. There are some companies, big companies and mid-sized companies, that are in a weak position right now, that don't have the cash flow. And unfortunately, some will go away. Some will be picked up for 20 cents on the dollar. And, some will just probably close. But I
Is that
do
a good
look
thing for
for more. Well, how do you define that? It's not a good thing for those employees that are getting laid off, but it's probably healthy for our industry, right? To kind of cull out the herd a little bit, get rid of some weaker players. And many times the weaker players will really do dumb things because they're just trying to generate cash. So their back is against the wall. So, I mean, they'll cut prices. They'll, not put money aside for warranty. They'll do some dumb things that harm the industry. And so when these weaker players do go away, that is helpful to our industry.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want zombies. I mean, one of the dangers of the stimulus and the support is the zombification of some companies, right? That are not, that, should be going bankrupt. Like, it's a fact. People go bankrupt sometimes. It happens, Randy. It's part of the game, and it's unfortunate for those people and the investors and the employees. But, you want to keep it an elite group. And then the other thing too is that the lighting industry is absolutely saturated because of rebates. There's been so many rebates in the industry that one of the effects of rebates is to cloud the difference between the good and the weak, right? We both can apply for the rebate. Both of our products are allowed to be used. And now the rebate is determining the quality, not the actual competitors. You have a hard time differentiating if both products apply for the same amount of rebate. They must be the same then. They're all from China anyway, so it's all the same thing. I think that if the result of this is to call out some of the weaker players, I think that's great. And those people can find jobs working for the other companies, or they can get into another industry or whatever. We can't be concerned about that as a society, because otherwise you end up like Japan with a bunch of zombie companies. Like, Japan is filled with companies that never make money and are supported by the Japanese state, and they're called zombies. You can look it up. So we don't want to have that. We want the dynamic, strong lighting companies in our industry that support their warranties, that work through the channels that are in the industry, and keep the customers, care for the customers at the end of that put the light bulb in or hang the fixture. And that's been lacking in the industry. You've had a lot of Johnny-come-lately and the lighting marauders running around, selling people whatever and getting rebates. So if that gets rid of it, Randy, would you agree that that's probably all positive?
Again, I can't say it's all positive, but it is primarily good for the industry. Okay? Right. Again, there are some people that will not be able to get jobs with other companies. And there are some people that are probably 40 years old and their kids are getting ready to go to college, and they may not have the funding to send their kids because they've been laid off. So I do feel for the American worker, North American workers, the Canadian workers as well. So that is my hesitancy to say 100% it's good when companies go bankrupt.
Got it. Now, another topic, and I asked Mike this the other day, but I want to ask your opinion. UV lighting, is that a fad or is that here to stay?
No, I think it's here to stay. I think it's here to stay. And the LRC published a paper yesterday, and it's probably the most comprehensive document. I still haven't gotten all the way through it, but the industry needs to really the LRC has done a huge favor, I think, to the industry by publishing that, because they are kind of a referee. They're a nonprofit. They have a lot of credibility, and now it's kind of a great roadmap for our industry. But I do think that UV is, you say here to stay, I don't think it's here yet. There's really not a lot of products today being sold in the market regarding at least UVC. It's coming. A lot of development is happening. Products have been launched and introduced. But when I talk to the manufacturers for those products, or I talk to the reps, and I ask the reps, well, how many of these have you sold? It's zero. They say it's coming. We're working with lighting designers. We're getting on specs. People are nervous, but there are not a lot of sales yet. Now, the junk, the magic wands and the little boxes, I don't really consider that viable. That stuff unfortunately, I think is still selling quite a bit, although UL has done a good job of making people realize about some of the concerns with that product. But as far as UVC, I do think it is going to be very important to our future. And it's a great niche that hopefully we can make money, right? Hopefully it'll be profitable for us and it won't just be given away.
I think at the same time, it needs to be practical and it needs to be proven. And that's a hard part. Like we've talked about other things in lighting that we see, and, even lighting controls, for example, everybody says we have to do it and we should do it. And we don't want to go off on that tangent on why it doesn't always make sense, but it doesn't. There's times where it just doesn't make sense to promote it or do it. So quit making us do it. Now UV lighting or attempting to make us do it. Are they going to do the same thing with UV and keep saying, you got to do it, and nobody's going to do it because the price isn't there and it's too hard to install, too hard to manage. It's not actually working. Those are my concerns.
So I want to jump in here, Randy, because I think Greg's wrong when he says that it's not proven. Upper air disinfection has been used in tuberculosis wards for decades, and it works. We know it works. And there's a lot of obvious applications for that air, for upper air active and passive upper air disinfection using UVC. We know it's safe. It's particularly great for trains, planes, stations, airports, places where massive amounts of people congregate, and we've had the technology for decades and decades. There's a mix-up in the consumer's mind between LED and then mercury lamps. Right? So we've always used mercury lamps in the past to accomplish this, and they work fantastic. And there's a confusion because people seem to think LED's better because it's going to be more efficient, and it isn't. Right? It's not necessarily more efficient. And then the maintenance schedules are unknown with LED. How often do you change the lamp? Whereas with mercury, we know exactly how often we need to change the lamp. Right? Once a year, every 6 months, whatever. It's all prescribed. And so I think there's a difference. There's a defaulting problem here. Everybody thinks it has to be LED, and there are some good LED solutions out there. But I think the surface disinfection ship has left the station. I don't think surface disinfection has a mass deployment. I think it's very niche, or I don't know how you guys pronounce it. But I think it's very niche. Upper air disinfection has a lot of good applications, Randy. And I don't see anything preventing the full massive deployment of that technology in many, many, many giant, enormous malls, for example.
And then you haven't mentioned HVAC, though. Don't you think that's an important immediate use?
But that already exists. Most commercial HVAC systems already have UVC lights in them. They already have it. Most of them, and they just haven't.
Know that.
Yeah, like it's already.
Most of them had it.
I would say that a significant proportion of, not in your house maybe, but even a lot of homes. I mean, Scott Walker, the producer, brought his 15-year-old burned out UVC light into the office after COVID started and said, "Hey, you guys got this? Because it's in my furnace."
Yeah, like I moved into a new place and there it was. Like, this filter's junk. Wait, what's this above the filter? Also burned out. I don't know what it is, but I bet Mike can find it for me.
Yeah. So, like a lot of our existing HVAC already has UVC treatment. Can we add to it? Yes. Can we retrofit more in? All that sort of stuff? Absolutely. But most of that already is out there. It just, people were unaware of it. They let the light bulb burn out. They weren't maintaining it, whatever. But the actual in the space, across the space, upper air disinfection, that's proven. That works. It's worked for a long time.
You walk into a building, if you go into a building or an airport, and you see a nice LEED icon in the building. U.S. Green Buildings Council has certified this building as LEED certified. What is it? Gold, platinum, silver.
Sure.
I see there's a need for a U.S. Clean Building Council. So right next to the LEED stamp, you've got the Clean Building.
That's a wonderful idea.
I just think there's an opportunity for that. I don't know how we would do it, but to have the upper air, to have the UV, and to have some surface disinfection in unoccupied spaces. And then I think people will feel more comfortable. It's going to be a lot of things that get people back. It's going to be the herd issue. It's going to be the vaccination. It's going to be the fact that the buildings are clean. It's going to be the fact that people are still going to wear masks. But I hope, are going to find a way to get people back together in office settings, and get our economy back. And I think UV is one way.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is there, and I hate to put it this way, but I think it's legitimately well understood when you talk about it like this. There is a need for hygiene theater, right? So the good UVC upper air disinfection fixtures should have a little light on them, right? That's green. It has like an indication that it's working. Look at that.
Test light. Okay?
Yeah, just like on it. It's like operating, cleaning the air, right? The little green light there. If it's red, it means it's not working or whatever, right? But it's green. We need to take hygiene theater seriously. And I don't say that in jest. I say that in all honesty because, you've heard the argument about the 330, 300. Well, all that's inverted now. We need to get the 300 back first into the room because 3 and 30 don't matter if nobody comes to the building, right? We need the 300 back. So if we need to do some hygiene theater for people where, we make fixtures as an industry that clean the air, but also tell people that that's happening and find a way to transmit that message to others. Surface disinfection, I think there are, areas for it. Like for airport bathrooms, you go into a bathroom stall, the light comes on and the disinfection light comes off. You leave the stall, the reverse happens, and it's a switch on the door on the stall. It's not an aux sensor or whatever. Like there's a whole multiple different ways you could do it. But that's how applications like that, where you have a lot of porcelain and tile that won't be damaged by the UV. There's lots of different applications for surface, but it's going to be like areas like that. Whereas the air, listen, COVID-19 is an aerosol virus. It travels through the air. And that's how you get it. And so a lot of diseases are like that. So I think we need to we need to have real solutions, but we also need to do theater for people as well.
Well, theater. I've not heard the term hygiene theater. I like it. Did you coin that phrase?
It was on a show. I don't know if it was Greg or me or somebody on the show. I think it was Fred Van Leeuwenhoek. I'm not going to steal it from him. So there's a Dutch scientist that we used to work for Philips. Wrote the UVC catalog back in the 80s or 90s, something like that. I pulled it out, and he's like, I know that one. Right?
Hygiene theater is a great couple words. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, we used to think it was
Makes
like
sense.
a joke, right? But actually, let's say you have a private school, right? Let's say you have a private school right now. You're in Toronto, whatever. There's got to be one in Nashville. There's one in Minnesota, like these $100,000 a year to your kid to go to high school. You bring the parents through and, hey, there's our active air disinfection unit in each classroom. We've got 3 in every classroom, and those are continuously cleaning the air. And when the green light's on and our maintenance guy comes in, and with those units, there's no risk whatsoever of exposure to UVC light. And so it's just mainly cleaning the air and whatever. Does it work? How does it work? Who cares? There's a hygiene theater element to this that people need to see.
We all care. We all want it to work.
Yeah, but
we all care.
Right, yeah,
we want it to work.
But we also want to believe that it works. Right. And which one's more important?
Well, I mean, you don't want to believe that it works if it doesn't work, right? That's misinformation.
But so like but the problem with testing this stuff is that when the UVC guys, you talk to them about testing UVC effectiveness. It's all about water or air within a space or a tube. If the flow rate is this, and there's this many gallons, and you have this many watts of UVC light, the water is disinfected 100%, right? So then you go to them and say, I want to take my light fixture that's a UVC light and deploy it in all these different spaces. Well, how much airflow is there? I have no idea. How often is the space occupied? I don't have any idea about that either. What is the this and that? And there's way too many factors to even know if it's what the percentage rate of disinfection will be. Very difficult to know. How much air it sucks in? When does the light bulb burn out? Can you change the LED array? Does the LED array lose its effectiveness over time? There's a lot of unanswered questions in that realm. And so to me, I think the initial thing is to make it about theater, to make it look like it's working. And I hate to say this, but it's okay. We don't know how well this works, but it is part of a mix of different things that we can do. Let's get out there and try it. Let's try some areas. Let's test. Let's figure out how we can test if it works. And if we don't have any real applications, Randy, we're never going to be able to figure it out. So we need to get out there, install some stuff in the field.
Tool. It's one tool.
Yeah, exactly.
People back to work.
Exactly. And the lighting industry needs to lead on that. We need to jump in on that and give even if you had like a screen on it, on the fixture that said active air disinfection ongoing. Oh, and people could see that. And who cares if it made the air 2% cleaner or 6% or 10%? That's not what you're paying for. You're paying for the confidence of the people in the space. That's actually more important.
But if you mislead those people and you make them think it's 98% effective when it's only 2% effective, then you've done huge damage.
Maybe not. I mean, like, is 2% good? Like, is that a good level of increase in air cleanliness? Maybe that's a big increase. Maybe it cleans the air. It's helping disinfect the room by an additional 4%. And then if you factor that over thousands of people that come through the train station, that ends up being 3,000 less infections a year or 10,000 less infections a year per visitor. Like, maybe 2% is a lot.
Yeah, I think the key thing is to not assign a percentage.
Yeah.
It does something.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. We theater it up. It's going to do something. Nobody knows because we've never deployed it. We've only ever used it in like very specific applications.
I want to use the word theater that is kind of an advertisement, that we're letting people know the good that we're actually doing. I don't want it to be there to mislead people and make people feel safe when they shouldn't feel safe. So maybe
they should feel safe.
Is not a good word.
They should feel safe. It's not about misleading people. It's about we don't know how effective it is yet, but that should not stop it from being deployed in the field. Because
I would agree with that. Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Let's get it out there.
Yes.
And then we can learn a lot more.
Exactly. We can learn more. We don't know how much safer, how much cleanlier the air is yet, because we don't have any really tests of airports with UVC disinfection in them, or train stations or planes or anything like that. Or I bet you planes have UVC in their air systems. But anyway, I'm saying.
So to wrap up what Greg said is, let's not assign a percentage to it.
Let's
just show that we're cleaning the air with UVC, and let's not show whether it's 2% effective or 98% effective.
Because nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I like to sell things that are gray.
There you go.
It does something.
All right.
Randy.
So, hey, last thing I want to ask you, Randy, just before we tie it up.
Please.
Edison report regarding that. You're doing daily updates now. You're recording that. How's that coming along? Is it easy to do? Is it you finding something every single day that you can talk about? Where are you at with that?
Well, we do. We have meaningful information every day, and we want to keep them to a minute. And so we'll end up with a minute 30, and we're trying to cut things out of it because we want to try to keep it to a minute. So I'll tell you, yes, we do have meaningful content every day. We've been working on it for about 5 months now, and we've never really marketed it to speak of. And we think we've got a good, if you look at the ones we did 5 months ago, I had a screen behind me. I was shooting them with my laptop. The quality wasn't very good. Now we've got really good quality, good screens. I think it's high definition, and we've got a lot of content, and then we're making graphics for each thing as well, for each subject. So it's not just me talking. We've got the graphics. So we're really pleased with it, and we're starting to see our page views, or our hits, I guess, on YouTube grow. And we want to continue to do that. We get a lot of feedback on it. Not always all positive. Some are very frank with me. Oh, Randy, it's December and you've gained 10 pounds. And, okay, that's true. That's true. So watch in the spring when I'm exercising again. But we have a lot of fun with it. And please, if you have anything for us, we're happy to do it. It's really beginning to take off. Today in Lighting.
I've enjoyed Today in Lighting. I don't do it every day, but I think most of your listeners are going to be periodic people, that a group of periodic people that hit it 2 days, 3 days a week and watch it. You know, it's because it's so short and it's a quick hot blast. 2 more things before we go. Who's in the picture behind you?
Well, surely you recognize that person. I'm not going to have to tell you.
I can't see it that well. Who is it?
Thomas Edison.
Oh, that's Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison.
Okay.
Thomas Edison. And then a nice little article, Richard Branson right here invested in our former company, Metro Light. So that was a big deal when we got some money from Branson, and then just a few other things.
There you go. And one more thing before we go, Randy. I really want to thank you for everything you've done for us, man. If it wasn't for you, you know, believing in us right in the beginning back in 2017 and supporting us, we would be nowhere, man. So we really offer you our love and gratitude in this time of the year. Merry Christmas, Randy Reid.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, Michael and Greg. And remember, I maybe opened the door a little bit. You guys had the content, okay? And you successful. We opened the door just a little bit, and you took it and ran, and then you really got something here. And everybody knows Get a Grip now. You don't have to explain what is Get a Grip. Everybody knows what it is. And y'all have had some really neat subjects. So congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
TCPI.com. That's right. We're talking cans, Greg, or pot lights.
Yeah.
Pot cans.
Pot lights to you. We talked about them at the beginning, from 4-inch to 12-inch, everything in between, color selectable. It has a silver matte finish, which is nice. A lot of these are white or beveled or whatever. This looks good. It looks slick, dimmable, 0 to 10 volt. And it has everything built right on. The nice heavy-duty snap clips, too, to keep that fixture up there, recess it in, get it done. If you have a recessed can, I'm telling you, TCP's got it.
Go to tcpi.com, proud member of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Industry. Long-time member, too, man. Been in the game with us for years. Good supporter of Nailed in the show, so we thank them for their relationship with our association. And for you, the listener out there, what are you waiting for, buddy? It's time. 5 years in the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. You need to join. That's right. We kept all you guys essential. That's right. When it all started, we worked to make lighting distributors essential. Tons of reasons why you need to get associated and support Nailed. And of course, Randy Reid, man, always a pleasure. Great to speak to Randy.
Always good. Always brings something new and good talk. And I'm sure we'll do more in 2021 with them. So be ready.
Yeah, you know what? It seems like the news cycle is accelerating again. It calmed down over the summer, and now it seems like everyone's kind of calmed down. Remember that was like we had to put out show, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we get it. And then all of a sudden I feel that sense of urgency again coming into 2021. Everyone's hot. Everyone wants to come out and make it happen. Yeah.
Get ready.
Thanks for coming on, Randy. All you guys who made it to the end with us, hey, nothing but love from the people at Get a Grip Studios and Get a Grip Online.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. If you are lost, the Lord is there to find you.